Java supports a number of constructs that allow you to easily control the flow of your application. Conditional blocks, switch statements, loops, and so on. I'm going to start in this chapter by showing you how to build a basic conditional statement using the keyword if. I'm working in a project named Conditional that's a part of the Chapter 5 exercise files, but it just has an empty class with a basic main method. I'll place the cursor inside the main method, and I'm going to start by declaring an integer variable. I'll give it a data type of int and a name of month number, and I'll set it to a value initially of 3. Now I'm going to evaluate that numeric value and ask the question, does this month number fall in the range of 1 to 3? In Java, the conditional block starts with the keyword if. You then place a Boolean condition, that is a condition that evaluates to true or false, inside a set of parentheses. And then within the pair of braces, you put in the code you want to execute if the condition is true. Now rather than hand coding all of that, Eclipse will model the code for you. After typing the word if, without any spaces after it, press Ctrl and the spacebar, and you'll get a list of available code templates. Choose the first item in the list, if statement, and Eclipse fills out the rest of the conditional block. The required parentheses around the Boolean condition, and the braces in which you'll place the executable code. Now the question I want to ask is, does the month number fall between 1 and 3? So I'm going to put in a complex condition here. I'll start off with a Boolean expression of month number greater than or equal to 1, and then I'll use the double ampersand, which is the conditional and I'll complete the expression with month number less than or equal to 3. Notice that as I type, there's a little rectangle that's wrapping the condition. When I'm done typing in the condition, I can press the Tab key, and the cursor will drop between the braces, and I can start writing the executable code. Within the if clause, I'll use system.out.println, and I'll output the string, you're in quarter 1. I'll save the changes and run the application, and I should see the output, you're in quarter 1. So it's working. Now, once you've used an if clause, you can also use one or more else ifs. The structure of an else if is the same as an if, but it can only follow an initial if. So I'm going to make a copy of this code block, and I'll paste it into place, and I'll prefix the next one with else. I'll change the numbers that I'm evaluating to 4 and 6, and I'll change the quarter output to quarter 2. I'll run the code again, and I'm still in quarter 1, but then I'll change the month number at the top of the code to month number 5, and run it again, and now I'm told you're in quarter 2. Now again, you can have as many else ifs as you want, and then optionally, you can have an else, which is the catch-all, the code that will execute if none of the previous conditions are true. The else looks like this. It doesn't take any parentheses or conditions, but it does take its own code block. And here I'll output a string saying, you're not in the first half of the year. Now that code's getting a little wide, so let me maximize my code editor. And we can see all 3 conditions. One for quarter 1, one for quarter 2, and finally one for all the other possible numeric values. I'll save and run the application, and I'm still in quarter 2, but now I'll change the month number variable to say number 8 for August, and run again, and I get the output, you're not in the first half of the year. So that's basically the structure of an if statement. Now when you're comparing values and you're working with primitive data types, you can use these mathematical equality operators, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and so on. But as I've previously described, if you're working with strings, you have to use methods of the string class to do comparisons. Let's create another class. I'll go to my Package Explorer to the default package. I'll right-click and create a new class, and I'll name this CompareStrings. It's going to be its own little application, so I'll check the main method and click Finish. I'm going to get rid of all these extra comments that Eclipse puts in. And now within the main method, I'll declare a string variable named month, and I'll give it an initial value of February. Now I'm going to compare that string value to another string. So once again, I'll put in an if clause, typing the word if and pressing Control space, and pressing Enter or Return, and then I'll look for the string February, like this. If month.equals February, then I say system.out.println, it's the second month. I'll save and run this application, and I get the output. The mechanism of comparing values will shift from one data type to another. For primitive values, you can use the mathematical equality operators. For strings, you have to use methods of the string class like equals or contains, but the structure of the if, else if, and else statements will stay the same. Regardless of the data type that you're comparing, you can use the if, else if, and else clauses to determine whether you want to execute particular code, all depending on the current condition.